Welcome to Cozy Coven Chats with Jenny C. Bell, where we explore the journey of the witch. Hey witches, and welcome to another Cozy Coven Chat. My name is Jenny C. Bell, and I'm your host. You may have noticed I have a new logo and a new kind of subtitle. So the podcast is Cozy Coven Chats, a witch's journey back to simplicity. And this is season 2, episode 1. So yeah, it's all in the same year. I have really been reflecting. So let me explain the changes and why. Bear with me, sit with me, grab a cup of tea, get cozy. I will be going over some interesting things this week and some journal prompt ideas and ritual ideas. So hang in there. But I want to explain just some things. So first of all, I never really thought seriously about doing a podcast. I was under the impression that it was a lot harder to do. Not saying that it's like super easy, and it's definitely a privilege to do. But I just kind of assumed, like, I don't know, do I want to take on one more thing? Like, I'm on these different social medias, I'm writing books, I'm a mom, like, do I want to do this? But the more I sat with it, the more, like, aligned it felt, right? And as a child, one of my favorite things to do is someone bought me a stereo with 2 cassette players, and I would make my own radio shows. I would make the commercials, I would invite guests, I would make voices. One of my favorite things I ever did is I figured out that if I ran the water faucet in the bathroom loud enough and put the the cassette and everything near it, it sounded like it was in front of a waterfall. So I have always had no problem talking to no one into a microphone because that was just imaginary. It was just like purely fun and nobody listened to it. And so, you know, I guess it was meant to be to do a podcast. But the more I sat with it, you know, every summer I kind of take time off because I'm a human, believe it or not, a magical human, but still human. I always take summers or time off in summer because my family's home. I have 2 kids, 10 and 15. I also was a teacher for so long, classroom teacher, that I'm just kind of that mindset of like summer we do a reset. So I was like, okay, this summer I'm going to pull back from social media somewhat. I did have a book come out, so couldn't be as much as I would have liked. I was like, I'm going to end the podcast as is and just like let that sit and decide. And if you listen to recent interviews with me, and people have asked, what about the podcast? And it's just like, oh yeah, it was an experiment. Like I didn't have a full answer as to whether or not I wanted to continue. And I tried a bunch of stuff. So if you hung on to season 1, it was like, you got my story, you got some interviews with some really awesome authors, you got some crystal information, you got a meditation. I was just like really, truly experimenting. But as the more I sat with the idea, and the more I reflected about my life and everything in general, the world, the way the news is, I really thought about how personally I am really getting back to basics and trying to live a more present and more meaningful life again. It's something I circle back to over and over again. But when the news and the world gets so hard, it's important for our own personal day-to-day practice to be nourishing, to be healing. And it's a privilege to be able to do those things. And I don't feel selfish about it or I used to have mixed feelings, like why I shouldn't be I should be doing something else, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And also, A Course in Miracles says, when you heal, you don't heal alone. It's like not a direct quote, but something like that. And that's always stuck with me that, I've seen studies about where large groups of people meditate, the crime rate goes down. It's like energy is energy. And as a witch, I believe in the invisible world. I believe in energy. I believe in changing energy. And so if you ever get kind of, weighed down by, all the suffering in the world and people are losing their rights and all of these things, and you're like, I don't have, who am I to, go and meditate? That's frivolous. but you matter too. And your suffering no one wants that. That's just being a martyr. So as you see the world suffering, you need to fill your cup and do what you can to give yourself the good energy and the nourishment you need so that you can help later, right? If you're an activist or whatever. We also need nourishment. You can't just sit and look at the news cycle and just be down all the time. That doesn't help anybody. I remember reading, I think it was in You Are a Badass, something about you don't want to send people worry. That energy is ugly and sad and heavy. You don't want to be oh, I'm so worried for you. Instead, it's I send you love and courage, right? I think in that book she calls it smearing fear. You don't want to surround yourself with people that smear fear on you. If they're always oh, I'm so worried for you, or be careful. Those, it's from a place that they probably mean well, but that's why when I'm in an incubation stage and I'm starting a new project, I only tell people who I know are going to be yeah, I get it, girl. And sending you energy and sending you love, not are you crazy? You can't do that. You know what I mean? And so I don't think it's selfish or self-centered to nourish yourself, heal yourself, fill your cup. Because remember, you also heal all the generations around you. So you heal your ancestors, you heal future lineage. Even if you yourself don't have children, you are going to be someone's ancestor someday. And so I think I wanted to, that really got off track really fast. I wanted to create a podcast that was about my actual day-to-day experience, things I do. And I'm not a performative witch. Yes, I have, a good amount of people on Witch Talk. But it's not performative. I'm not there making up rituals and doing these elaborate spells and making things really beautiful unless that's actually what I'm doing. Does that make sense? So I'm not here to perform. I'm here really living my journey. I, often in our coven, I participate, I'll ask a question, what you're struggling with, I'll participate and answer. I'm not perfect. I don't have it all figured out. If I did, I think I'd just be done. You know what I mean? I kind of always think when you have it all figured out, what's the point after? There's always something to learn. There's something to heal. There's something to do. There's something to create. There's always more. And if you stop doing all those things, you stagnate and then you create more problems, I think. And then you have to go all over again. It's a cyclical journey, right? It's a spiral. We heal and then we heal again and then we heal again, right? Shadow work's lifelong, all those things. So I really wanted to create a podcast where weekly I just share with you some of my things that I'm doing, some of the things I'm thinking about, how I'm tuning in seasonally, how I'm tuning in with the moon, a little of this and that in astrology, a little bit about journals. My own practice, I wanted to share what that looks like in this first episode. And it's quiet. My own practice is quiet. I'm a solitary witch. Yes, I run our coven and we do lives, but we don't do live ritual and things like that. I think that's pretty hard to do via Zoom. A meditation's one thing, but doing a live ritual, I don't know. Maybe it can be done. Maybe it can be done in the future, but that's just not, I don't know. I don't feel that's something I feel we can do. Instead, our lives are more meditation, their classes, their Q&As, they're chatting together. It's more about connection and being able to talk to each other and for them to be able to ask me questions face to face and, that kind of thing. And so I've been a solitary witch most of my journey of, I've been a witch now for over 30 years. So most of that journey has been solitary. I do things sometimes with my family. I've done things sometimes with a friend or two. I've got to do special things like singing bowl retreat and women's retreat and things like that. But overall, it's solitary. And I think that most of us are like that. And I think now more than ever, we need to connect with one another and we need to uplift one another and we need to hear each other's stories. And I think, as I've said before, we learn best through stories. That's why I was a literature major. That's why I love teaching English. I think you can teach so much with a book or with a story more than if you just sort of stand there and lecture at someone, right? you can, if someone tells you a story with a moral, you're more likely to remember that than if they were to just be like, don't do that. And so all of these things swirled around me in the summer, thinking about my own practice, thinking about how I need to nourish my own self, how I need to, kind of like where am I taking our coven in the future, and how story's so important and how people need connection, especially those of you who I know are isolated, maybe that you can't or don't feel safe, being on a spiritual path that's different than the people around you. This is for you. This is for us. This is a time for you to come with your journal, your tea, a cozy blanket when it gets cool, or finally your cat, right? And, consider me your aunt, your sister, your friend that's also a witch, and I'm just sharing about my own experience. So that's where we're going this season. And I feel locked in. I feel like this sounds really fun. I hope to do one every week. I am a human. I do get sick. I do have children. And, just see. But that's the plan for now. So I'm hoping to put these out every Sunday so you can kind of start your week with me. And so we're looking at the week of August 18th. And I'm not going to go deeply into astrology because that's not my strength. But Friday the 22nd, the sun does go into Virgo, and we also have a new moon in Virgo, right? And so let's talk about that real quick. New moon energy and full moon energy. I always think 3 days before the actual moon and 3 days after. You're good enough in there. So if you're not off Friday, you have weekends off, do your new moon stuff on the weekend, okay? And same with like say Wednesday or Thursday off. So you just make it work for you. It's like, again, it's not performative. There's no one, if you're not posting, no one's gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe you did your new moon ritual on the 20th. Like, it's not like that, right? So new moon, I like to think of it as it's like in between. So you can celebrate it as a fresh start. You can celebrate it as a closing, right? In every ending, there's a beginning. And so you can celebrate it as both, or you can celebrate it either or. So some things I like to do personally is I like to cleanse. I like to do a cleanse of myself, of my home, of my ritual jewelry, my ritual things, my altars. So new moon is often when I'll take everything off my altar, I'll dust it, I'll clean it, I will put everything back in a new way, right? If I'm going to make a crystal grid, I usually make them on a new moon and kind of let go and visit them every day until the full moon. And then I really add extra energy on the full moon, and then I take them down on the waning moon. That's just kind of my own approach. Other new moon things that are great to do are to just let go of the past cycle, and that's through journaling. So something I like to always ask myself is, around a new moon. So this week I will be asking myself, what is closing for me? And what's an energy that's closing for me? What is something no longer serving me? What is something I learned this last cycle? And then I'll look forward to, where am I putting my energy? Where do I want to put my energy? What is an energy I want to attract right now? So you're kind of looking at both sides. And being in a Virgo moon, Virgo season, I'm really affected by the moon. I'm a Cancer rising. And so I'll probably have a really clean and organized house by the end of Virgo season, which is great because Leo season always makes me end up at estate sales and thrift stores, and I'm buying this and that and decorating. There's always fresh flowers. And then Virgo season comes and I'm like, no, we need to clean everything, dust it, make it look really good. And so if you find that energy, go with it, ride it, right? Ride the energy, let yourself get a clean house. And other things with Virgo, that Virgo energy is very organized. So this moon in particular, because we're getting toward the end of summer, getting towards fall, it's a really good time to take stock of everything, right? All your goals, all the intentions you set, all the manifestations you put into energy and you put focus on. It's a good time to look at all of that and reassess, because come autumn equinox, it's a good time to let some stuff go. So you may, like for me, I always have all these like goal setting. I make vision boards. I like to do this thing, and we'll talk more about it in January, but I usually will like fold my journal into 4 quarters, and I'll do like winter, spring, summer, fall, and I'll put goals according to the seasons based on like, seasonally how it would feel or energy. And this is a time I'm going to revisit and probably be like, why would I want to do that in fall? Like, that happens every year. Like, who was she that came up with this idea? She's different now. So yeah, it's a good time to start taking stocks as we go into Virgo season. I'm always a little sad to see Leo season end though, because I don't know, everyone just shines brighter. And my daughter's a Leo. She's like so beautiful. So I feel like everybody's at their most beautiful and their most flamboyant during that time. So yeah, that's what's going on in the moon. We are still in Lunasa or Lammas energy, so first harvest energy. You're probably seeing more, like corn, and if you live in North America, more of that kind of harvest energy. If you may even see leaves starting to change depending on where you live. So we're in between summer and fall energy, and so things are winding down. This is a really good time of year to get into thinking about winter in cold and flu season. So I definitely am an amateur herbalist. I'll probably be studying herbs forever and always call myself that. But this is a good time to make fire cider, which I have in our Coven, and I think on TikTok, 4 Thieves vinegar. It's a good time to do that. It's a good time to make tinctures. It's a good time to put honey into natural, like organic honey, and let sit a couple weeks in a jar. Those are so good for when you're sick. You can do the same thing with sage. It's a good time to stock up on warming spices. Clove, really good for sore throats. Sage is really good for sore throats. Really taking stock of those kinds of things. We always go and pick elderberries and make elderberry syrup or elderberry ice. That's actually our favorite, where you kind of freeze the syrup into ice cubes. Very soothing. It's a good time to take stock of your health too. Like, do you have vitamin C? I'm not a health professional. Okay, don't come at me for that. Like, do everything at your own risk that I talk about. But I feel like it's a good time to just take stock of all that stuff. Vitamin D, it's very dark where I live in the PNW. Still not used to it, being in Southern California for so long. Do you need like a solar light? Do you need a red light? Like, think about last winter. Were you sad? What are you going to do to change that? It's all that kind of time. Summer's winding down. You might want to get out there and play a little more before fall actually comes, depending on where you live. And yeah, just kind of those kind of ideas. That's the energy, I think, of the moon and the seasons right now. What I'm doing every day personally right now is I am setting an intention in the morning, which I don't usually do. I'm very task oriented. So I have a to-do list, multiple to-do lists. I usually wake up and I do whatever my family needs me to do. Okay, I'm grocery shopping, I'm taking kids for haircuts, I'm cleaning, I'm watering, I'm gardening, taking care of tasks, and then working, writing, all those things. And so I am trying instead, something new for me is, instead of being so task oriented, I'm trying to set an intention every day. And so I sit after I say prayers. I always play singing bowl music. And I should look up. I'm going to look up by the way, I don't know, I'm not filming this, and I won't be. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's just going to be the ambient video. I just feel much more comfortable not talking into a camera for so long. So I hope you understand that, and I hope you can respect that. Oh yeah, so on Insight Timer, which is a free app, by the way, there is this person, Healing Vibrations, and it's always this person with their cat and their singing bowls. They're beautiful, and my cats really do love them, and they're all like an hour. So I always listen at least an hour. So I listen to Healing Vibrations on Insight Timer. I say prayers. I do call on the elements every day. That's just personal. And then I've been setting an intention. And it can be really simple. Yesterday's was to get outside more. And because the weather was nice, I'm like, I need to make an effort. And so I sat outside and read twice, which, like, hey, if you're busy, like, that's a luxury. And then today was to create. And look at me. I am creating. So perfect. And so I do that. And then my other thing that I've been doing for a long time now, I got it in, originally is from Cindy Brannan's Hey, it's Jenny interrupting myself to invite you to join my private, cozy, and international community, our Coven. We are an inclusive community off of main social media dedicated to learning and growing as witches. To learn more, please go to jennycbell.com. I can't remember the exact name, but Hecate's Cave. And then there's like more to it. She's like Hecate's Garden, Hecate's Cauldron, Hecate's Cave. And that one, she has like a simple 2-card tarot spread, and I've been using it for over a year. So and I've changed it a little. So the first card you ask, what is an energy that's leaving? So you shuffle and you think about an energy that's leaving for the day. And then you pull a card. And I only use decks that are not reversed. That's just personal for day-to-day readings. I don't want to deal with a reversed card. I do that for only bigger, more involved readings. And then the second question I ask is, what is an energy that is coming in? And so today, the energy that was leaving was Wheel of Fortune. And I was like, okay, good, because I kind of have been spinning a little bit, not knowing where to spend my energy, because there's lots of things I could be doing creatively. And then the energy coming in was the Ace of Pentacles. And I was like, okay, yeah. And in this deck in particular, it's like there's like a little being that has passed away, and all of these sprouts have come off of this being. And it's like a fresh start. It's like something has ended and you're starting over. And here I am. I wanted to start the podcast over today. So like perfect energy. And then I usually, after I pull the 2 tarot cards, I pick one of my many oracle decks, and I just ask what else I need to know that day. And I just like close my eyes and I see the decks in my head, and like one pops up, and I just go with that. Tarot card, I used a different deck today, but for a while now, I have to say almost daily, I've been using the Mother Peace Tarot, which is from the 80s. I got it. I found it used, and it's round, and I love it. It's just so like divine feminine. It's kind of weird in a good way, and the readings are like spot on. And there's even blank cards in there, and a couple times for the energy leaving, it's been a blank card, and I just kind of laugh. It's like, they're like, we don't know what's leaving, girl. Like, I don't know. And so that's kind of my daily practice on that. And then I always meditate. And then lately I've been setting an intention. I also like to take a walk or do yoga. I like to move my body in some way, weightlift. And then in the evening, I haven't been journaling, but I intend to start up again. So part of doing this, I'm like, okay, if I'm giving you the questions, then I should also journal. And I really do like journaling. I started really consistently journaling when I read The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which if you're trying to lead a simple life and really focus on the simple abundance and the gratitude you have and be present, it's such a great thing, even if you don't consider yourself an artist. The only thing is I really recommend that you have to go all in with this book. So it's like you have to do what she says and follow the weeks, because otherwise it's pointless. But one of the things she has you do every day is write for 10 minutes. And I had 2 books born after that, so I feel like it really worked. So that's a really good one. And then also there's a book called Simple Abundance. I can't remember the author. Let me look it up. But it's a pink book from the 90s. And like I feel like I've seen it in lots of women's kitchens over the years as someone who grew up in the 90s. And it was a bestseller. Yeah, it's called Simple Abundance, A Day Book of Comfort and Joy by Sarah Van Brethnock, I think is how you say it. You can definitely find it used. It's free all the time. You're always seeing like free little libraries, but it's just about each day. It's like a daily, and not a Christian way, because a lot of these devotional or daily books are Christian. It's just a book that each day she's like helping you tune into the seasons and the holidays and helping you take better care of yourself. It was like intended, I think, she worked from home, but I think it was really intended for like women that like were housewives and needed to fill their own cups. And so it's a little, like in a few places, a little outdated, but for the most part, it holds true. And in both of those books, they talk about taking yourself out on a date. In The Artist's Way, it's like called taking like your little artist out on a date. And consistently, when my kids are in school, I like to do that. I like to go like look around a bookstore, walk around a park, look at a gallery, go to the library. Like, it's just an idea that you go somewhere alone that you would enjoy. It doesn't have to cost any money. And so that's something I try to do weekly. I haven't really done it much this summer. I did get together with friends, which, like, if you're in your 30s or 40s, that's hard to do. Like, if you're not retired, I feel like that's hard to do. If we can ever retire, who knows? Don't mean to be a downer on that one. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I did sign up for a CSA. I talked about it, I think, which is, where you help pay ahead of time to a farm, and then you get produce consistently from that farm. There's also like CSAs for all kinds of things. We have an herbal CSA here. We have one for seafood. Like, there's different ways to do it. So this was through Red Buttes Farm, and it's been amazing. Like, it's honestly, we're gonna do it every year. Like, I get so excited. I pick up my farm box every Tuesday at the farmer's market, and I have eaten new things. We had yellow watermelon a couple times, so it's like looks like a red watermelon on the outside, but it's like this pretty yellow color inside, and it's so good. We've had snow leopard melons, which are like honeydew but white inside. I had a canary melon. I had kohlrabi and shishito peppers. Those are all things I've never had before, and it's been really fun. I've been fermenting and pickling. I've been baking. I just made zucchini brownies today, which are in our Coven kitchen area. And yeah, it's just been a way to tune in. I was telling my family, so it's kind of a specific reference, but if you read to your children or for yourself, there was even a TV show. Richard Scarry wrote these Busy Town books, and it's like, there's Roger Rhino driving down the street, and I feel like getting this farm box, it feels like that. Like, there's writer Jenny going to see the farmer at the farmer's market, getting her box. It just feels so quaint and cute. And like, to know that the food grew near me. Like I said, it's a privilege. And if you have the opportunity to ever sign up for one, I highly recommend it. It's just a way to tune into your community. It's a way to tune into the seasons, to where you live, what can grow there, and when they grow. That's really cool. Like getting corn. I got corn right in time for Lunasa Llamas. I was like, this is so cool. This is first harvest. I have fresh corn, just like all the books talk about, right? And so it's just been beautiful. It's been such a beautiful experience. There are times where I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all this kale? But freezers are great. I did make pickles for the first time, fermented pickles. And so you don't pickle them. I had to go get oak leaves for the tannins so they stay crisp. I mean, it was just like such a fun little thing. But I do really like to cook. So I've also been collecting lots of herbs from my own garden and drying them and turning them into tinctures and salves and oils. Like, definitely been busy in the kitchen witch side of things. And it's been one of my favorite things to do this summer is to be collecting from my own yard and then getting my farm box. We have successfully grown tomatoes and lemon cucumbers and some squash. First time ever having garden beds, and we're doing pretty well, I think. Definitely learning a lot. And that's what's great about just getting outside and doing those things. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. Kids are going back to school, and I'm starting to think about, what am I putting into motion? I will be starting another book. I already have it outlined. I'll be writing. I have a lot to be grateful for, and that's something I return to often, is, when I see the news or I feel overwhelmed by what's happening in the world, I think about my own self, my immediate family, and then I think about my town, my community, and I try to find gratitude for all of those things. And that was what's nice too about these daily intentions, is I set an intention for myself, for my family, and the world. And it feels good to put good energy out, and I don't want to send out worry. So yeah, I really I hope you've enjoyed this. I don't think they're all going to be this long, unless there's something really exciting to talk about. I mean, I guess when we get near Halloween, I'll have a lot to talk about. But yeah, I really want to share my journey, my experience, my thoughts. Like I said, I'm a solitary witch. It's part of why I created our Coven. I also want community. And I've actually tried to make some community here in my town. I haven't been 100% successful. I have good friends, but I'm talking about like witch community. But I'm open. I'm going to keep trying and see what happens. I think the right people, the right community will come along when I'm ready. Definitely trying to put more of that out there. And, the energy sometimes takes a while to return. It was a really interesting summer having a book come out. I talked about this. If you get my newsletter, you saw this, but this is the last thing I'm going to chat about a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up. But I really went through something similar to postpartum depression, like from a lot of summer. Prior to the book coming out, once the book was released, and all the promotion to go with the book, I really kind of struggled with it. And I did have postpartum anxiety with both children, but this was definitely more of a postpartum depression. And yeah, I mean, it's a child in a way, and I can say that because I've had children. A book, I really was very vulnerable in Spirit Crystals. The practices in that book are my own practices that I've actually done in my 30 years of being a witch. They come from my personal books. The meditations are things I've done. The prayers are things I've said. It's so vulnerable, and it felt kind of raw and scary to know that anybody could just go get it and read it. You know what I mean? The idea is I've wanted to be a writer since I was small. I'm proud of the book. I was so excited to get it published. But then there was a part of me that was like, oh my God, really, this is really out there. This is my personal practice, thoughts, ideas, and anybody can read it, even people that don't like me. You know what I mean? That's kind of, I'm a recovering people pleaser. So that was definitely intense. And there was also a part of, my ego just was like, who do you think you are? It's not going to sell. Why would you even do this? You should have never left teaching. There's this, the ego came back with a vengeance. I had nightmares and night terrors. I had anxiety. I had fits of crying. It was I was exercising demons. And I really hope that the next book comes out in spring. I really hope it's not like this. I don't think it will be. I think it had something to do with this being the first, and it really solidified that I made it in my mind. You may look at me and be like, what are you talking about? But I chose a career early on. I was I was a nanny, I was a babysitter, I was a camp counselor, I was a tutor, I was a substitute teacher, and then I was an actual teacher at 22. And then I got my credential and everything 23. And I was so focused and so driven. I was a very young teacher. And I decided to walk away from that, even though I poured money and time into it and, went to all these conferences and, and I walked away for a lot of reasons. And then I really needed this book to come out to show that you did it. You did switch careers. You are an author now. And so there was a lot wrapped up in that. A lot of the crying was cries of relief and joy, because I know a lot of us no, we shouldn't need external validation, but it feels good sometimes. And I'm being very vulnerable and raw with you right now. I didn't expect to take this turn, but here you are, dear listener. But yeah, I really struggled, and it's out in the world. And what was so interesting is Uranus went into Taurus in 2018, which is when my life broke apart and I switched and all these things. And it left my sign on July 7th, and my book came out July 8th. And that's when I felt that chapter of struggle, because for so long I felt like I was in a snow globe that someone mixed up and the snow wouldn't fall. I had felt the wheel of fortune just spinning. And I'm am I doing this right? Am I on the right path? I had so many questions and so many struggles and so many failures. And then the book came out and it was you're doing it. This is right. This is the right move. It was the validation I needed from my guides more than I think the outside world. So yeah, it's been a long summer for me. I feel like I've gone through a lot emotionally, a lot of shadow work, a lot spiritually, and I'm coming back to myself in a different way. I do feel wiser. I do feel stronger. And I wanted to share that, and I want to share how I really try to lead a simple witchy practice. Simple in the fact that it's solo, and it's all about just tuning into myself, my guides, the earth, the moon, and, whatever kind of makes me feel good. So thank you for listening. I hope you tune in next time. Please like, share, and subscribe, and give me a review too if you enjoyed this. As always, thank you for listening. Please subscribe and share with a friend. If you haven't already done so, be on the lookout for my book, Spirit Crystals. Discover your crystal guide for healing and empowerment. Available wherever you buy books.